Need of faith. Faith is victory. For where there is faith rightly placed, there is no failure, but true success. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life, that is, be full of faith, and have as a reward life's crowning glories. We know that all our development, physical, mental, and spiritual, depends upon our faith in God, in our fellow human beings, and in ourselves. Just in proportion to the amount of faith we place in God and in ourselves, just so great is our development. Why not take God at His word, letting our faith become a living faith by acting in the manner that shows to the world that we know ourselves to be children of God? There is no other way to real victory. Let us have more faith in our fellow human beings. We may not agree with them, but who knows whether they are not more in line with the divine plan than if they were following our lead? It is well to remember that our ideal is manifested through our fellow humans as well as through ourselves, and it is, therefore, more necessary for us to trust them, even though appearances may be against it. It is not only our privilege, but our duty to have faith in ourselves. We are workers together with God, and when we doubt ourselves, we doubt the God within us. He has promised, "I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee." Call to mind the words, "I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me." In His name we are more than conquerors. It is only by having the faith of a little child in the abiding presence of the Christ that we can hope to inherit the kingdom. Faith is a bridge that spans the gulf from the seen to the unseen. It is often all we have left when everything seems against us. With this in mind, how diligently should we cultivate and seek to increase our faith when all is going well with us, in order that it may be a strong fortress when the storms of life begin to beat upon us. Lord, increase our faith. Are the nerves of motivation dead? If they are, may they not be renewed? Isn't the body renewed at least once every 7 years? Who is to renew it? Who is the giver of life? By pure coordination, pure faith, pure desire to be what God would have thee be. Ye have much work to do in this material plane. Don't become impatient with self, with others. Know ye are indeed the Lord's only as ye fulfill His commandments. Read Psalms 119 under the section Tau. Also St. John 14, especially 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th verses and then those latter portions of the 15th chapter. Apply them to self. How can I bring the work of Edgar Cayce in harmony with my belief? It isn't anyone's business to harmonize beliefs. Rather know what is believed. And if the results of any activity are such that there is credence given, such that it is in response to that, or in keeping with that, or in line with that, or in the furtherance of that self would present to its maker, then it is one. If they are in an at variance, or in opposition one to another, it is as given, "He that gathereth not with me scatters abroad." Why are all my undertakings mostly confronted with such difficulty? Through difficulty has the entity gained much of the experiences in the past, as well as in the present. Those that overcome difficulties may wear the crown. Those that succumb to difficulties are counting themselves unworthy. Keep the faith as is being builded through the love influence, putting behind thee those things that so easily beset, looking forward to the mark of the high calling as is set in Him, through the ideals as have been set. Then the better things, in the mental, the spiritual, the physical life, even in the present, will be that reward. In the one then before this we find during that period or experience, when the Master walked in the land, in the flesh, and about that home the entity came to know of the service rendered, for the entity being a friend, or a neighbor, of the little house in Bethany, the entity knew much of that love shown in that experience to those peoples, wherever the Master walked. In the name Thessi. In this experience the entity gained through that understanding. Hence there has come in the present that knowledge of the closer relationships to individuals, as well as the understanding of the love of the Creator for that created, through the gift of the promise to men. Keep in that promise. For as the various experiences of man and his relationships to the Creator are as those of signs to individuals who seek to know His face, no matter how far one may wander, when the sincere, earnest cry is to know that face, He is faithful who has promised, and is able to keep that as is committed unto his keeping against any circumstance, any trial, that may come in the experience of his children. For he has promised that we shall not be chastened beyond that we are able to bear, and he that endureth unto the end shall wear the crown of eternal life. And, even though he were the Son, yet learned he obedience through the things which he suffered. So, as the cry went from him, why, hast thou forsaken me? May oft be wrung from our own beings. Yet, even as he stayed and raised him to perfection, giving unto him all power, so may we in that love, even as experienced by the entity, know that contentment, that joy, of serving, even with him. For all things, whether of mind or of matter, arise from the spiritual concept, and it depends upon the sincerity and with what spirit an entity uses these as to the abilities of the entity to control others. Should it be changed as the ideal way, should the change be for thine own good or for the good of all concerned? For if self is put first and foremost, it is self-worship. For there is nothing that may separate thee or any soul from the mercies and the grace of God save self, and that by insincerity. In the abilities, keep in the way in which ye judge not, if ye would not be judged. Remember, with what measure ye mete to others must eventually be meted to thee. If ye would have friends, if ye would have love, if ye would have patience, manifest same. Each of these are the attributes of the Spirit of truth, and as ye apply same in thy experience, the greater becomes thy measure of faith. For if ye have not faith in others, how can ye have faith in God? If ye have not faith in God, how can ye find it in thyself? But these working with thee, and if ye will call together, together thy problems are one. Thy desires must be one, thy purposes must be holy before him. Ye cannot with thy mouth praise or bless God, and with thy activities curse thy neighbor. For in thy neighbor is the image of that God ye would bless or call upon. Also in the mental, keep the faith. Hold fast to that, and know it is a growing thing. Then in the changes that come in environments, in associations, let that faith in the divine in self ever respond to that known innately within self. That wipes us out also, and that is the end of the business that I watch, as Gary understands. That, then, is that situation as is given here, that, as the conditions arise, there will be given to self that necessary to do, to meet the needs as they arise. There needs be little fear in self that, will the body keep self mentally in that attunement as is defined by self, as to the purpose of self in this undertaking, there will not be given that necessary to act, and the body and its influences and its labors will not be wiped out, nor the purpose defeated. Keep self, then, in that attunement, and in that accord as to the purpose as was said in self when it was given thee to found the conditions as they exist, and that the body would be guided at the board at the time. For the body will receive that instruction, and be not afraid. For I am with you saith he that would guide. I will not forsake you saith he that would be at the board. I will not confound you in unstableness, says he that told and guided in Macy. I will not leave you saith the Lord. The appearances in the earth have much more to do with thy personality and individuality than the sojourns in the realms between same. Thus ye are tended towards judgments by material standards, and these are false standards. Take warning. For what mattereth it to a man that he gain the whole world, yet lose his own soul? No, there is nothing that may separate thee from the love of God but thine own self. No urge, no activity may break thy will, if ye will ask, as indicated, Lord, be thou the guide. The entity contributed of its material means as well as its physical activities through the experience. The entity was then in the name Reruhal. The entity gained through the experience, and may there be that counsel. Keep that faith which prompted thee. Let nothing take it from thee. For as ye have known, there is nothing in heaven or in hell that may separate thee from the love of God, but thine own self, thine own denial of self in relationships to him, who blessed thee in person. Give a clear definition of the word faith with reference to faith as required by one who is sick and desirous of being helped through psychic readings. And what faith means to the individual. As we have faith in the substance of that which is hoped for, with the evidences from things seen or of things unseen. As in this, the desire of the heart or issues of life to be the assistance not from self, but even as the Maker gives, as is given that love is law. Law is love. Love is giving. Giving is as God, the Maker.